Surface and Surface Pro and Surface Book. Do anyone in the audience own a Surface Pro 4 or a Surface Book currently? I see some hands.
See some hands. Are there some hands that actually? I think that guy seems a little bit cold, so he needs
We were going to give some
that
compensation
guy got
back.
it. Yeah.
So some of the Surface Pro 4s and Surface Books have experienced some Wi-Fi issues. These Wi-Fi issues have been kind of hard to identify, as some of the organizations and companies utilize different kind of infrastructure. Some use Aruba wireless networks, some use Cisco. And other kind of challenges they find are the battery consumption on the device. During the launch, it was supposed to last for about 9 to 12 hours, depending on your device. People aren't getting those hours. Second to the battery is that when the device is put to sleep, it doesn't actually sleep. It still burns battery. So people putting it to sleep experience that the battery have been burned in pretty much the same manner that operational use would be. Instead of actually having a power saving state, they are having a battery burn down state. We had some USB issues.
Yep. You get the USB related to transmitting. It's a frequency, most likely a frequency-related problem. So,
and a fun part about the Windows Hello, that's one of the marketed features in the Surface Book and Surface Pro 4, is that it doesn't work out of the box.
It might not work.
It might not work.
Yeah, it might not work.
Might not work.
Yeah.
And some customers are experiencing that Outlook, the mail client, is closing down.
But that's also a problem for other computers. But if you find a problem on the Surface Book or the Surface Pro 4, you will think about this must be a Surface-related problem. But so we took it in here, so you could be aware of it, because it's really one of the issues. Yeah.
And most of the weird things that come to feedback is the randomness. Yeah. Now I experience this, now I don't experience this anymore, but I got something new. And a personal experience where for my company is that we got a bulk shipment of Surface Pro 4s. And for those of you who know the Surface Pro 4 shipment is that you get a different power supply for the Core M model. You get a 26 watts power supply that did not have the USB outlet. For a shipment we didn't receive that power supply. We received the full Surface Pro 36 watts power supply with the USB adapter. So many people who actually buy the low-end model of the Surface Pro 4 get the high-end power supply. It's nothing bad, but people might expect those kind of things to happen.
So it's basically built on the randomness, because we have discovered that there are differences to the same computer.
Yeah, that's true. And some of these things have been rapidly solved. Wi-Fi is pretty much covered now by software updates. Some organization might still experience some issues around Wi-Fi, but most topics have been addressed due to the driver updates.
Yeah, and if you continue to have the problem and you are on a company computer maintained by configuration manager or WSUS, be aware that if they don't import the new drivers, the new firmware, you have to go in and download it yourself, because most companies' deployment solution will not deploy new drivers or new firmware to your Surface. So then you need to make them do it, or you need to download it yourself.
That is true, and that is also related to many of the other problems that we kind of have a solution for here, is that the battery sleep have been improved by the new firmware that's released. There was a new firmware released last week. Yeah. Make sure that you download that if you experience any issues. The USB bug have actually been fixed by using a USB extension device. And one of our fellow MVP, Sami, experienced this bug. Is Sami here? Yeah, he's here.
And he's looking cold. He's Finnish, so he's cold when he go home. So he needs a Surface.
So what he experiences when he uses wireless devices that use 2.4 gigahertz band is that the USB port interrupts with this. So the wireless device doesn't work. So the problem is resolved simply by using a small extension cord. I don't believe personally that this will be solved by a firmware update. It might.
It's just a bit like the Miracast problem. If you have a Miracast that doesn't work when you put it into your TV, you cannot connect to it. It's most likely because you have a Wi-Fi system near to it. If you move the Wi-Fi a little bit farther away, you will see that you suddenly can connect to your TV. So it's related to the frequencies and
that
problem.
Is true. Yeah. Also, addressed to the Windows Hello functionality on a 3D camera built into the Surface Book and Surface Pro 4 there's a driver update available. From the box, out-of-box experience, there's an obsolete driver that actually doesn't make Windows 10 utilize the camera recognition system. And about the outlet closing, that's not a specific Surface related issue, but it's more like a graphic.
Yeah, it's related in the kind of way that you have the same display adapter problem on surfaces as you have on a lot of other computers. So if you discover that, especially Outlook closes after about 5 minutes time, or doesn't open at all without closing all the time, you might want to go in and disable the accelerated graphics part. I have put in the part you go into Outlook options, advanced display hardware graphics, acceleration, and just turn that off, and it will work. It will most likely be solved in a new driver somewhere, because computers that have had this problem have gotten it solved over time. So hopefully the Surface will get a new driver that addresses this problem.
And again, the last one, the Outlook closing thing, is not a Surface-related thing. It's a graphics-related thing, and Surface used that kind of graphic. So it's not unique for the Surface, but it's kind to be aware of. Anyone have Surface Pro 3? I do see some hands. So some of the, or probably the most major or large change that have been done from the Surface Pro 3 to the Surface Pro 4 is the repairability. You can now fix it. That is kind of a lie, but the adhesive that keeps the screen stuck to the rest of the device is less stubborn. So you now actually might not break your screen while disassembling the unit.
You just throw it in the microwave for about 10-15 minutes, and then you can take it out.
Do not try this at home. Follow the iFixit guide if you want it. I find it kind of fancy because I follow the components list that iFixit does without breaking my own device. And I found that the repairability score had increased, and it's only because the adhesive is less stubborn. And this is what the Surface Pro looked like when it's popped open. It's pretty much a motherboard with everything on and a battery.
The one thing that you need to notice is that the camera is not a RealSense camera.
That is true. A lot of people have been asking, why doesn't Surface Pro 4 or Surface Book use the Intel RealSense camera? It's quite simple. The RealSense camera is a bit physically larger.
It's too fat.
It's too fat. Yeah. It's like me. It wouldn't fit in the Surface. So Microsoft have embedded their own camera that's called Surface Hello camera to be able to log in by facial recognition. Some of the minor changes that's not that cool. It's got a bigger screen that is better to read on because of higher resolution. For those of you who have experience from Apple's devices with Retina screen, it's got higher resolution, higher DPI than Retina, which makes it a lot better to read on than previous Surface Pro 3. It got a new CPU. Is it better for you? Well, that depends on you if you need it. I probably wouldn't upgrade based on the CPU itself.
Then, Alex, why should I choose to upgrade my perfectly working Surface Pro 3 or my Surface Pro?
If you got a Surface Pro 1 or 2, the form factor and the readability on the screen is reason enough to upgrade. It's that simple.
Yeah.
But if you got a Pro 3, pretty much the only reasons why you might be considering upgrade is if you need a Windows Hello camera, or if you need a better SSD speed. The Surface Pro 1, 2, and 3 uses the SATA communications port for drive, while the Surface Pro 4 uses non-volatile memory extended, the PCI port. So the speed you get from the first generation of Surface is somewhat around 500 to 600 megabytes a second. Now the speed on the Surface Pro 4 will depend on the size of the disk. The device that's mostly targeted for organizations is 256 megabyte. You will triple the speed. It's about 1500 megabyte a second. And that is fast when it comes to booting up either it's Office solutions or Hyper-V computers. These are pretty much the only two reasons to upgrade if you use disk-intensive applications or multiple VMs.
Is there any cheap solution for me with my Surface Pro 3 to get a better experience out of my Surface?
To be completely honest with you, if you got a Surface Pro 3 and you don't need any of the two features I mentioned, buy a new keyboard. The new Type Cover 4 is a very major upgrade of the typing and utilization experience, especially for the mouse.
And you will not notice that you change it on the form factor. It will just be better keyboard, but it still fits in, even though there is a bigger screen. It's not a bigger form factor in the 4 than in the 3.
So when you go to your boss and say, hey, okay, I don't like the keyboard, I want a new computer, you can just go and say, hey, I want a new keyboard, because it's a real upgrade.
Yeah. And then we have the Surface Book. How many here have the Surface Book? None. Yeah. Then we actually need to have a competition to somebody. I think, should we give away
Should we give away a Surface Book?
Do you want to give away a Surface Book?
Anyone here wants a Surface Book? Yeah. All right.
That's a nice Surface Book, right? Yeah.
All right. You keep on while this guy, this lucky guy get a Surface Book for dummies. Okay.
So the Surface Book, the hardware is that basically you need to figure out, do you want the i5 or the i7? Do you want it with the special docking with GPU in the base unit? So it's a good, nice device. Make sure it's me. And it's basically the same components as in Surface Pro 4. Same memory, same disks, same CPUs, but you have a different selection. Do you want 8 gig, 16 gig, and with or without the extra graphical power? So it's a nice device. It's rated 1, so I will not try to pry it open because you will get a hard time to put it back again. But it's like you should know by now, split in 2, that we can get a tablet, a nice tablet. It's not that heavy, and all the power stuff is in here. We have the CPU, we have the ordinary graphic card in here.
But if I want to do 3D rendering on that one,
then you need the right base.
Why?
Yeah, because then you have the power of a real graphic card.
So the graphic card is in the base?
Yeah, with a gig memory.
With an extra gigabyte of memory. Okay.
And you should also be aware that you cannot buy one from the States now and expect to get a new base later with Norwegian keyboards, because they will not be sold as separate devices. It's one device when going into sale. You might get a replace base unit, but you will not get a new base unit. So if you buy the one with the wrong keyboard, you will live with the wrong keyboard. This one have the American keyboard, and if you are used to looking at the screen when typing, it's no problem. But if you are like me, I usually take a sneak peek down at the keyboard when typing, then I do a lot of mistakes. So be aware you cannot change it. The base unit is an extra battery. When you charge it, you will always charge the tablet first as primary charging, and then you will charge the base as secondary charging. Because it's a bigger chance that you're going to take just the tablet than you are going to use just the base.
But if I
the
want to
base.
buy a Surface Pro, no, Surface Book, can I do that after this conference is done?
No, you gave out the only Surface Book.
I gave out the
Norway,
only
I
Surface
think.
Book.
So
Yeah. So the problem is, it's a perfectly good product, and a lot of organizations will get feedback. Okay, I want this product because it got the power, it got the components that I need, and it got the features I want. So I want it, and you can't unless you parallel import it from the States, because it's only sold in the U.S. at the current time.
yeah. And there are no current known plans for the Nordic market. There are rumors that it might appear, but there are also rumors that it might not appear. So it can be a bit like band, that they will test it out in a smaller market and then they will go over and do a word shipment on version 2.
So for those of you who have a Surface Pro 2 or Surface Pro 3, and for either reason you might figure out that I got a problem with my device, I need to ship it in for a replacement. If you do a repurpose, let's say we're actually going to do a demonstration of repurpose, or you want to decommission it, actually scrap the device from the company and give it away to Save the Children or whatever you want. There's still data on the disk, and as you saw,
That guy is cold. There you go.
got a hat. As you saw on the pictures, you can't really remove the SSD to replace it. So the problem is you got sensitive data, you got content on it that you don't want to lose, and there are tools there that might read out data even when formatted. So you need to low-level format the SSD. Microsoft have recently shipped out this tool called Surface Data Eraser. And this tool is kind of cool because it treats the SSD as a component, not as a drive. What happens is that the tool sends out a command to the SSD that randomly changes the bits and bytes on the disk. So the complete erase of everything will take less than a minute. And the device is ready to go. So
It might sound fast, but think about it, it's SSD. It's not the traditional old ones that you need to write the block over again and again. So let's test it out. We are doing the high-tech solution.
yeah, we got to use the camera on the Surface Pro 4 to show it to you.
You don't get screen signal if you boot from the UEFI BIOS before you are into Windows. So then we need to.
So, as you might see, this is in fact my production device. This is not a demo unit. This is my personal device.
Can I have it, please? Pretty please.
Sure you can, because you got a Surface Pro 4.
Yeah.
So what I'm explaining to you now is in fact repurpose. I got a device, I got sensitive information on it. I want Olav to have it for whatever cost he need. So what we need to do is enter BitLocker. And you need to wait till BitLocker pops up.
Or press enter.
I try to. Demo Ghost. You know what? I actually have disabled BitLocker for this device in case of this
Already,
happening.
yeah.
But what you need to do is that you have to go into BitLocker and suspend it. If BitLocker is enabled, it is not enabled on this device. If BitLocker is enabled, you have to go into the BitLocker application and suspend it. What you then have to do is to boot from this USB stick that you create with the Surface tool.
Is there anything else we need to go think about before we do this?
Speaking of which, the BitLockers popped up.
Yeah.
So suspend protection. And you're good
so
to
you
go.
don't have to turn it off and wait for it to be finished. You just need to suspend it.
And what we're doing now is that we're going to do a reboot. And we're going to boot it from the memory stick. On normal Surface devices, when you boot it up, you need to press the volume key. in order to suspend the boot sequence. When you're already in Windows, you can press Shift and press and hold Shift and press Reboot, and you enter this menu.
Right.
User drive, USB stick. It will now boot from the USB stick. A second problem that Olav was kind of taunting me with is that this will give me a big solid black screen. Not a blue screen, but a black screen with an error message. And for this scenario, it says it couldn't access because your BitLocker key wasn't loaded correctly. But I did suspend BitLocker. So why did this happen? It's very simple. The micro SD card is encrypted with BitLocker. You need to pull it out. And even if you don't have encrypted this memory card with BitLocker, it will generate a boot error.
Yeah, so you need to take it out.
To take out
no matter what.
The SD card. So reboot it after the SD card is put out. It boots up from the memory stick. It will take a couple of seconds booting up from the memory stick based on the read speed from the memory stick, but it's not that big of a file. It's about 300, 400 megs of boot. Should be in there any second.
You can download them by searching on the Microsoft download site and search for Surface Tools, or you can just Bing Surface Tools.
It's out on my blog.
You'll find it. Yeah.
Posted it recently. So what you get is a very, very explicit command that you don't screw this up. I just spell it right out. You don't screw this up, because if you tell someone that this is the latest build of Windows 10, everything is gone. So you should be very aware that this is not a next build of Windows 10. So you type accept, and you get a prompt. You want to delete, you want to perform a disk part, or shut down. I want to delete, so I press S. And there's a last warning sign that says, this is the SSD device on the lower end here. This is the SSD device. Are you sure that you want to delete this? You press Y and enter, and it says that you wanted to plug in a power connector. Let's just do it for the sake of the demo. Yes, I want to proceed. And
you need a lot of power for those next 5 seconds. Maybe.
Yeah, it should take a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And it's done. So now everything is ready. The Surface have been repurposed. This one is now yours.
Yes.
Nothing is installed, not even Windows. So, of course, unfortunately, is that Olav here is a deployment guy.
Yeah, so we need to deploy it. We have the solution, of course, of downloading the ISO file from Microsoft Surface page, where you can download the file connected to your computer. But since this is a Surface 3 Pro, I want Windows 10 directly installed on it, not an upgrade period where I install the downloaded files and then upgrade it. So I want to make sure that I install it the correct way. The correct way is by using MDT, for instance. And to be kind to us, Microsoft have actually created solution Accelerator for Surface deployment. That's quite good. The only thing is that they have had only version 8.1 out for quite a long while now. But I have 2 days ago, they actually released the version 1.9x something. And there are a new build on the way, because there are some small minor bugs here. For instance, instead of installing the volume licensed version of Windows 10 that it's need to set up, it actually download a trial. So that's quite funny. Let's see how we do it in the beginning. We have the, it wasn't this computer we had, I created a, yeah, but I need to. Surface deployment Accelerator. Install it. I think we actually installed it on the nuked computer.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So, but it's just a small ISO file that you download, and it actually will do everything you need to be done. They recommend to install it on a server with the DHCP and DNS and domain and everything, PixieBoot and everything, but you can do it on whatever computer you want to do it on.
So this is pretty much just a kickstart to get your enterprise ready and deploy surfaces.
Yeah.
No consultant's fee, just try it out, and then you bring the consultant in to fix what you didn't manage to get right.
And then you steal all the good IDs and put them into your MDT solution or your configuration manager solution, because deployment is deployment. The tools are changing, but here you get what you need to do the correct deployment of surfaces. So we go into next. You can either select to install Windows 8.1 or Windows 10. You cannot install both on the same solution right now. Hopefully they will change it. So I just skip the Windows 8.1 part and goes over to Windows 10. We are pointing at the location, like MDT, share name, surface, dep, and not for depressed, but deployment. And we can also import the boot media directly into the Windows deployment services when we are doing it, to just keep things simple. I don't want to do that now, but the funny part is it will demand a Windows 10 ISO, and still it downloads a trial. So that's one of the small bugs that will be fixed in the next release that soon will be out. And if you go into the TechNet page, you will be able to download this one, this version, but the documentation are not being updated yet, so you will still get the old documentation. And when this is done, you will have a computer installed with MDT, and it actually installs everything you need to make MDT work. Everything. You don't have to do a damn shit yourself. And it's and it actually goes into what applications you need. We download some trials of Office 2013. You don't need those, of course, but it downloads the Surface apps that you actually want. You have all the configuration settings, you have the application, you have the firmware tool, you have configuration of the older computer, like the Surface Pro 3. Operating system, like I told you, you can only do it for one operating system at a time, and it actually shows that it have downloaded a trial, even though I used a real version. So out of the box drivers, we will figure out that we got the possibility to select during the process of Windows 10. It will ask me, do you want to download the Surface Book? Of course. Do you want to download Pro 4, Pro 3, and the 3 model, the non-Pro model? And it downloads all the newest drivers. So when you do this, you get the newest driver from the web page. It will take you about 2 hours to set it up, but it does everything itself. And then it goes into the task sequence, create 2 task sequence, create Windows reference image. So if you don't know how you can create a perfectly good reference image, this is how we do it, because you can go in and steal whatever you want to steal in the task sequence. How to update it, what to put in there, how to capture it, and so on. And you have the deploy surface with the task sequence. In the task sequence, you can notice that the change stuff are typical set the driver group. So you set the driver group to use the right drivers that you have built into your driver structure. And you have the inject drivers that says choose a selection profile, nothing, but still install all drivers from the selection profile. So it's a mismatch of what it says and what it actually does. When you say nothing here, it will actually select non-profiles, but it will go back to the set driver group and find the drivers. And you need to make sure that install all drivers from the selection profile are selected, because some of the components are not enabled on your device when you're installing it, like the dongles, network, display, and so on. So make sure that you install all the drivers. And then it will also have created a Surface task where you can go in and see the core, where it installs some Windows 10 options, checks if in Windows 10 is installed, and it put in Surface apps based on what computer you are running, and so on. So it know that you have a Surface and install Surface related to the version you are using, if it's a Pro, if it's a 3, and so on.
So this tool pretty much gives you the advantage to build your own proof of concept lab. So your enterprise admin or your company manager says, okay, we're thinking about Surface, but we don't know how to deploy them.
So it's a perfect proof of concept tool. So you just install it, set it up, and it works. I am now booting at a virtual computer here. I'm going to reinstall the Surface 3 Pro later. But now I can see that going in here, I can select create a reference image. And that's supposed to be running on a virtual environment. So select that one, and it will create a complete reference image with a Windows updated image of Windows 10.
And the latest drivers.
And the latest driver, and the latest everything. So even though this solution downloads the latest stuff, in the beginning, you need to make sure that your reference images are as updated as possible. So, and just go in later and steal whatever you need. It shows you during the installation, it shows you the shortcut for all the newest drivers, so you can actually copy the path to the driver. It's an MS...
aka.ms?
aka.ms/something.
A tiny URL,
yeah.
pretty much.
And you can actually use that yourself in your own task sequence to update your drivers if you want to. Let me know. Window.
So, deployment's easy. Other things that might not be that easy is, we had Sami here, right? Yeah. He was mentioning something about security a couple of months ago, and when it comes to Windows Hello, it does a facial recognition of the person logged onto the device. So a short explanation of how Windows Hello works is that you use your enterprise admin password or your Microsoft password. Either way, it's still a traditional password to log onto your device. You generate a PIN code, which is new in Windows 10, and you utilize that PIN code to become the reference of your facial credential. So you won't actually use the password, you only use the local hash or the local credential guard for logging into the device. So what that means is, if someone steals your device, they don't steal your password. And they can't log into a different computer. So if you have a company with a lot of different Surface Pro 4s or Surface Books, this one is the one that you actually authorized to use with Windows Hello until you activated the same thing and procedure on every single other device you're using. Because the credential is not transmitted to either the Microsoft account or to Active Directory. So if they steal a device and they think they got your password, nope, they don't. They need your face. And
you don't want a face like that, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm that one. Yeah. So the components that they're using is a different camera than the RealSense I mentioned. They use a Surface camera, Windows Hello. Try shorten that one down next time. And in order to make this one work, they have an IR infrared emitter that makes it capable of actually identifying your facial recognition or expressions.
Yeah. It actually does exactly the same, but it's 2 components instead of 1, so it's easier to squeeze it into a tight spot.
That is true. Back to Sami. He had this problem because he used 2 different accounts. He used local user account or non-admin account for most of his tasks. But he also have an admin account. So he's not sure if he's logging into the admin account or the non-admin account the most amount of times. So which one would you select?
Always admin, right?
Always admin. Well, that might be easy, but every time you log onto your computer, every time you use the low non-admin functionalities, you have to type in your PIN code or your password. So there's this thing we want to show you. Ta-da! Admin beard.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to show you now is kind of fun, because I'm actually going to log out of my computer, and you are now looking at the login screen. And I'm just showing my face, and I'm there. So that's how Windows Hello works. Pretty much, it's swift, it's instant, and it has an error rate of 1 to 100,000, so it's corporate secure. But my problem is that I'm two persons. I'm an agent. So say hello to Clark Kent.
So this is the admin goggles, right? Sami has another solution, of course.
You can steal Sami's. That's easy, but you can just use admin goggles.
It's more cooler, right?
Yeah.
More cooler. Yeah.
So you're not admin, right? You can tell people. So it uses your facial expression, and even with glasses, it works. But it uses your entire facial expression, and it uses your eyes. So you need a pair of glasses or sunglasses that will allow the ER emitter to kind of identify your eyes and everything.